Hi everyone, today we're talking about rate of change or slope. This is due on Friday. So slope is a number that tells us how steep a line is. In Spanish it's escarpado, it's steepness. So what it is it's going to be rise over run when we talk about slope. You've probably heard about this in middle school. Another word for slope is rate of change. Okay, so a slope can be either positive or negative, and we see that a slope is positive when we are going uphill. Positive slope, I should have made space for you guys to write this. It's when it's uphill, and it's negative when a line is going downhill. That's a negative slope. So let's take a look in a table and how we can tell. So from a table, what we have to look at is we want to look at how the y changes, how the y values change, and how the x values change. So from -1 to 0.5, that's actually going upwards. It's going up by 0.5. 0.5 to 2, it's going up by 1.5. 2 to 3.5, up by 1.5, 3.5 to 5, up by 1.5, and so on. And we can see in the x's, it's going up by 1 each time. Good. So, is this linear? Yeah, it is. It's going up. The y values are going up by adding the same number each time, and the x values are changing as well, and they're changing consistently. So the way we call this is called the change in y. This triangle means change. It means change in y. This change in the x's is change in x. Change in x. So when we write a slope, let's write on the right here, or a rate of change, another way we'll see it is m in the form y equals mx plus b. The m is our slope, will tell us the slope value. Another way we'll see slope is it is the change in y over the change in x. So you might see it written as triangle y over triangle x. That means change. So in this case, we have triangle y, change in y is 1.5, change in x is +1. Another way we'll see slope is it also means rise over run. On a graph, we'll see we count up how many it rises by, how many it runs by. So let's calculate our slope for the table on our left. So if we're doing change in y over the change in x, the change in y is, well, it's being added by 1.5 every time. So our change in y is plus 1.5. Our change in x is being added 1 each time. +1 is our change in x. So positive 1.5 divided by +1 is 1.5. That tells us our slope. Let's scroll down and look at a graph. So we talked about looking at a graph, and it tells us rise over run. So the first step we need to do when finding the slope is to find 2 points on the graph. So let's look at this graph. It looks like this coordinate and this coordinate is pretty clear. And it looks like our lines are not as clear. So I'm going to just sketch it out again. It's like there should have been a line here. There should have been a line here. And there's a line here as well. It's hard to see. Okay, so first find 2 points, and I plotted those in purple. Those are super clear. This point here is the point 4, 2. And this point here is the point 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 5. Okay, good. So, and then we can count rise over run. So I'm going to look in the graph, and to get from this first point to the second point, I rise. Rise means going up, and run means to the left or right. So I'm going up 1, 2, 3. So we're going up, we're rising by 3, and then we're running, which means we're going to the right by 2. That's how I go from this point to the second point. So because I'm going to the right 2, I'm moving a positive 2 over. So my rise was positive 3. I had to rise 3 spaces to get to the next point. Then I had to run 2 spaces. Positive 3 over positive 2. Divide that in our calculator, and we will get 1.5. That is our slope. Okay? Another way we can do it is by using our coordinates. So I could have done the change in y over the change in x by subtracting our y values. So if I make my y values in orange, 5 and 2, I'm going to subtract 5 minus 2. And then I have to make sure it corresponds. So if I started with this coordinate, I'm going to start with this one. 6 over 6 minus 4 divided by 6 minus 4. Those are the change in y over the change in x. And then let's calculate. 5 minus 2 is 3. 6 minus 4 is 2. 3 over 2 is 3 divided by 2, which is 1.5. Either way works. So there's 2 ways we can do it. So this is another way, or we can calculate it this way. From 2 points, that's exactly the method I just showed you up above. So we should be able to do this now. So we take our points, and I like to put them in a table. So this point here is negative 3, negative 8.5, and then this point is 12, 14. If I'm looking at our table, I can see that the change in y, this here, goes up by 22.5, plus 22.5. The change in x, it's also going up. It's going up by 15. So remember, this was the change in y, and this was the change in x. So to calculate our slope, we're going to do the change in y over the change in x, which in this case, change in y is positive 22.5 over positive 15. When we divide that in our calculator, we get 1.5. These are 3 different ways we can find a slope, given a graph, given 2 points, and given a table. If you have any questions, please write them down below, and we're going to practice more tomorrow. See you tomorrow, guys.